Commissioner Johnson,
Present.
Commissioner Gar, absent. Commissioner Steeran, absent. Vice Chair Kumar,
Present.
Chair Malanti.
Present.
All present with Commissioner Garg and Commissioner Steeran absent.
I think Vice Chair Kitty Moore wanted to join online. Is she there?
No, she's
Yes, she's
mayor.
She's online, yeah.
online. Yes.
Online.
She's mayor now.
Yeah. So. Sorry about that. Oral communications, right?
We do not have oral communications on the
Written
agenda.
communications.
We have no written communication.
Okay, so. New business, we can go to new business, right?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yes.
welcome, gentlemen. Daniel.
Thank
Paul,
you.
Sundar. I saw another Sundar on my face.
Yes.
Today, he's from the same place, IIT Kharagpur, so there is a lot of things going on between him and Sundar, so today was.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
This is
Um,
great.
These gentlemen are, I first reached out to Sundar, the other Sundar Pichai runs Google, and Thomas Kurian who runs Google Cloud, and the AI deployments are all coming out of Google Cloud, right? That's right.
Correct. Yes.
So they nominated the gentlemen, so these are the most qualified people. Paul and Sundar. So
Appreciate
we're
that.
going to cover AI powered modernization, right? Citizen impact AI and government impact AI. They have looked at our work items, Vice Mayor Liang and Mayor Kitty Moore, and so you will also see
Correct.
where they apply. And the floor is all yours.
Fantastic. Prabir, thank you for inviting Google to your meeting. It's a pleasure to connect with everybody here. It was a very ominous call to have the CEO of Google reach out to our VP and say, by the way, City of Cupertino is very interested in talking to Google. It's an honor, so we appreciate that. If you want to start presenting, that would be wonderful. Oh, you have it, Daniel?
I already presented. Yeah.
Is it already up there?
Yeah. Let me try one more time, see if it's okay.
So that way we all go through the agenda. If it's okay with the council and the commissioners, we want to make it interactive so that you have the opportunity to ask questions. We don't like to talk at people, so that would be great. So let's go to the next page. For our agenda, I'll go through the introduction. We spent a little time trying to understand your goals as a city. And then we'll go over our approach in our offerings. What we're doing, AI is at the center of so many things right now. Obviously, you've seen all the news. So we'll talk about how government, all of us work in the government side of Google. So that means that we interact with your peers. And we have a very good understanding of how people are adopting the technology, how they don't want to adopt it. So we'll go over that too as well. And then we have some really interesting demos and presentations that kind of align with some of the items that you guys are trying to do. Some of them have been very incredible projects, and so we'll go over those. Let's go to the next slide. You'll have a reference. Our leader for California is Amanda Singh, and our leader for the US is Matthew Snyder, who you connected with. And this is for the record for who's the team. Let's go to the next page. Really, the goal here is to help, right? When you have such a different technology come to you, how do you help it? How do you execute with it successfully? So we'll address that. Go for it. One of the key, so I love the strategic vision you guys developed. It addresses all the things that we see many city councils address. There's always, when it comes to a tool like AI, there's this balance of transparency. How are these tools being used? How is their data being used? And how is government ensuring that they're protecting the data of their residents? Some of them can be very expensive tools, so there's also the balance of fiscal resiliency that needs to be taken into account. We really also, the critical component here is to focus on your key priorities and learning how to adapt that technology. And more importantly, it's not to create black boxes of systems. You need to understand how the systems work so that you maintain transparency through the process. Those tend to be the biggest concerns people have about adopting AI. Go ahead. I think you didn't refresh your slides.
Nope.
You refresh your slides.
Yes, let me do that.
There we go. Yep. Okay, perfect. Thank you, thank you. I copied and pasted your innovation because I wanted to see how it aligned to our strategy. We have like a 5-pronged strategy on how we use AI, how we invite people to think about it. First, absolutely create an AI and data strategy. Do not venture into the space without a good understanding of how you want to deploy it, how you want to use your data. Second, AI depends on data. Good data means potentially better AI. Bad data means not good AI. So many projects where we start tend to land on the data side of the world. So we spend a lot of time working with clients on their data because that is critical to them. Third aspect of it is many partners, many solutions are coming out to help. What we say is focus on productivity tools with agents on that are low task processes, meaning not low task. I would say that are redundant tasks, so things that can be automated in an easier way. So focus your agents on that work. More importantly, ensure that the fourth component is around security and governance. We cannot divorce AI from security. Those go hand in hand. And then putting a tool out there does not mean it'll guarantee that it will provide better cost or will scale correctly. So a lot of the work we do is ensuring that the solutions that are delivered, the agents, the technology is delivering cost as you deploy it farther and farther into the organization. So those are kind of like our working principles that we tend to follow as we go. Next one. Okay, some interesting facts that we've seen around. We've taken surveys. 95% of people plan to deploy AI tools. I think maybe you guys already have. 48% plan to use AI to support predictive analytics. That's continues to grow. So AI tends to be a good use for predictive analytics. 50% of your peers see concerns regarding budget costs due to AI initiatives. So that's important. People see value in deploying AI technology. At least that's the perception right now. We hope, and we have seen that. 2/3 of people say that they still see it as a positive. So I think we're early. People are still very positive about the capabilities of AI. But more importantly, many people are starting to do a lot of training. And we have seen the critical component of having a solid training program when it comes to these tools.
This is Google conducted survey or something.
Yes, exactly. And we can share, if you want, the document where this stuff from.
You'll share these slides.
Yes, absolutely. So that we wanted to kind of provide a high view of our approach. Now we're going to talk about some offerings. Offering is kind of a funny word. It's more like, what have we done and how does that apply to the city? So any questions so far? Is this aligned with some of the things I've heard?
So the data you're using for training?
Yeah.
Leverage that was for other cities, so.
So we don't let your data out of your site.
Yeah, I have a slide to talk about that later.
Yes, but for that number 4 around security, whenever we work in anybody, we build or help build or recommend, you always keep your data with you. All the AI models are brought to your site. We never extract any data out. That's one of our terms of service. So don't do that.
So we have a clear cut AI ethics policy. It's a documented policy which is available for public consumption, which clearly articulates that no customer data will be used for model training. This was already available in the public domain. I mean, it's already there, right? But let's say for your specific project, the way we set up our Google Cloud project also is that, right? It's a separate tenant. You are the whole and sole owner of that tenant. Right, and then the model is already a frozen one, which is used to build the application. That's it.
Right. Mhm.
Sure. That's a very popular question.
Yeah, and I think that's what the standard is these days, right? But you also don't, Google doesn't access our data in any way.
Cannot. No, whenever, so this is important. This is where the cloud comes in, security requirements. Google cannot touch any data. So we provision the environment. You have access to the environment. And you are the only ones with access to that. In fact, just as a comment, the way Google Cloud has built its services is that every single data center system meets federal requirements for data, right? So it's known as FedRAMP, or so that means that not a single system out there that Google builds is outside of Google. So that outside of the does not meet FedRAMP requirements. So we don't have 2 different clouds. We have one.
So this FedRAMP cloud, or is this a sub?
All of our cloud is FedRAMP.
Oh,
It's by services.
Yes. So that means,
You have a separate one for government versus private sector.
We have a different approach, right?
Yeah.
So then that is, think about in the cloud, just like on-prem today. Cloud's basically a virtual data center. So you have total control of your virtual environment.
Okay,
All the data inside. Google is a vendor, we cannot touch it, we cannot see it. You manage everything inside. Within that realm, also any government security on top of that, whether it's federal or whether HIPAA, depends on which industry, we have all those certifications
Yes.
that come with it. So
Okay.
that's a minute.
what about support purposes? If city needs some support
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the tenant, then someone would have to look at the.
Yeah, just like any vendors that we have a support service that go along with the cloud service, that's income line.
yeah. So a good question. Whenever people, if, let's say a system goes down, right? And you call support, we do not access your data. Most of the time, all of our services and support are on the back end, right? There's no reason usually ever for us to come into and see any of your data. And to the point of whether we have 2, we don't. We've decided to make all of our data centers compliant to Gov standards. So that one of the reasons why we did that is so that we did not have different services between our commercial clients and our government clients, because sometimes when you create 2 separate cloud environments, you're not able to get the services that you need right away.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, but and then that support is part of the ecosystem, right?
correct.
Right. Usually in general, when we move to a cloud service, it has way more redundancy than a typical on-prem data center, right? So the security embedded architecture that's embedded, there's standard practice with all that, right? But if you truly need support, that's usually very specific for your application that running on top of that, then there's support can provide from application layer all the way to the infrastructure layer.
Even on that data, assuming there's a need for you to give access, right? You have to control, right? All the way at various levels. to the data masking level also. So we have tools which can kind of mask the data. We can kind of, mask sensitive data. We have APIs, DLP APIs and all which can do that. Firstly, you may not require to even give access to anybody. Maybe to your consultants to build something. That's the max, right? From Google perspective, we don't need it because all the support will be through backend thing, mostly logs, if the service is down, or why the service is down. Typically, when a service is down, it impacts the entire region or zone, right? Not just your application or project.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Good.
All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you to everybody knows what Google company is, right? If we don't know anything, we'll just Google it. But we're talking about some of the AI and how AI specifically serving for government sector, state, local government per se, in this case, one more focus on the municipal city like you, right? We'll give you a bunch of examples of how AI services go there. But before we start this, I think we have a list of the 3 areas we talk about. I'll just spend 10 minutes to kind of take you to a journey of, Google's being born in Silicon Valley from Stanford right here, right? And like from a technology perspective, how we get involved, so that you have some background there, right? That will stuff on there. So speaking of technology, right? I'll just kind of talk about how many people are talking about AI today, or with a family or with a coworker, right? So AI becomes like a buzzwords, right? We're all talking about, but it's interesting that if I'm looking at it from a technology perspective, right? If we look at how technology is involved in the last few thousand years of human history, it wasn't until like in the 17th that we got the steam power, right? This is really how things changed quite a bit in the human life of productivity. But it almost takes 100 years before we had the electricity that really changed another thing. But then also take another almost like 100 years before we get into this information technology, especially born with the Silicon Valley here, right? But then today, everything we have to buzz was AI, right? That only takes a very short period of time in the last 50 years. But if I expand that period, if I expand that period a little bit, right? From 1969 all the way to today, we actually gone through a couple of different things there, right? Information technology, there comes the internet, mobile, social, and of course now today we're talking about artificial intelligence. It is also very interesting that, if you have kids that in the last 20 years, it's a whole different way of raising the kids, because that's something we have never thinking about, how do you raise kids in this digital age with cell phone, mobile phone, iPads, all the different things that's in there, right? So artificial intelligence wasn't, it's been there for quite some time, right? Some people say, well, since we have information technology, we have that, but it hasn't been the buzzword until in the last 3 years. And of course, city, local government, where we went to a lot of different conferences for public sector, the way how people relate to AI, the attitude towards AI really changed quite a bit. 3 years ago, when I asked the question, do you trust AI to provide some government service? I'll probably, there's 20% of people raise their hands in there, but now today, I almost see like 80% of people, in city, local governments, we have been using AI. Now, but then AI, we all talk about AI, it's a buzzword, but what is it really AI? So that's why there's no really good definition of this. I want to simplify the message. There is the AI that I've been using for quite some time, a long time. I call it traditional AI, right? That's a very specific sub issue. But then in the last 3 years, it's the agentic AI, Gen AI that's coming, right? Which provide a whole new capabilities of how we using those AI to help solve some of those problems that we have, right? Especially for city and local government. Really, expand that in the last 3 years again to looking at, 2022 is really the chatbot that come out. You can go ask some questions, right? It can answer some of the simple questions. It may not be very good. Sometimes it might provide some kind of hallucination that's in there, right? And then we get into this multimodal within a year, fast forward, right? And then we get into more creative generation of high quality 3D assets generation. So a lot of things we're talking about is because almost like every 6 months, there's a lot of new capability that's coming out to really help you on that. Of course, we get into this year is the year, I'll say the year of agentic AI. These are the new thing that's coming, right? we all have a lot of fun with, anybody have fun with those chat, whether Gemini, Chat GPT, right? Create a lot of things, and you play with it and then bananas, to create those images. So personally, I have a lot of fun with that because we cover the whole state of the West States, which include Alaska and Hawaii. And so when I heard that the two companies merged, I was like, well, what's the new image will look like? Because the two places look so different, like with very interesting characteristics. I just put it to Gemini. So what does it look like with the new logo with Alaska Airline and along with the Hawaii Airline? So here is the first new logo that come out. And here's the second logo that's come out. All right, so we'll all have a lot of fun here. But the question is really, well, what is all those agentic AI has to do specifically what a Google can for public sector, right? So this is really the topic we can start talking about some other things here. Any questions so far? Just a very quick overview. So this is a little bit more journey talking about the AI has been in the DNA of Google for a very, very long time, right? You probably heard about Gemini 3.0 is the buzzword in the last couple of weeks, right? It beats all those, matrix of, in leading the AI. One of the things we're looking at is everything is training using our own version of the GPU, right? We call TPU. But we had this like for over more than a decade that's in there. So without getting into all the technical details, so there's quite a bit of the DNA within the last decade of the Google's innovation in that AI journey that's there. But the important thing, I think we already touched some of those, right? Because when we're talking about AI, I think Paul mentioned about earlier, data is important because without good data, there's no good AI, right? So whether it's Google's own model we train for Gemini, or whether it's your city local government, your own data sets on top, laying on top of that, a good data will produce good results, right? That becomes very important. Along with that message is, we're talking about, I think we touched that message a little bit, is that people are always curious about, is this data secure, right? There's a lot of the AI responsibility that's in there. So when Google training our large Gemini model, we're using our own data sets in there. So that data is, so that I just mentioned about, is frozen model, right? And then when you're using your data, usually it's a bunch of API talk to this large model, right? You're using your own data sets on top of that to training for your own use cases. Those data sets sits in your own virtual environment. Google cannot access this all your own thing, right? And then we have all security that protect, we're talking about the FedRAMP, all those certifications, but there's also a bunch of monitoring tools. So there's a cloud best practice wing in our DNA. I will, without getting into all the details of the product services, but in general, when we're talking about security, you're gonna have access control, right? You have authorization, access control, you have data protections with all those different kind of authentication, encryptions and all that. And on top of that, there's a whole ecosystem of monitoring so that if intruders come in or data get accessed in not in the right way, there's alerts monitoring that will come out, right? So you want to know about that from a support perspective. So there's quite a bit of those, without getting into detail, Google has that AI principle that's in there for a very long time. That's within Google DNA. It's a great practice. Google also lose a lot of business because they don't want to do certain things, in the past with federal governments, all that. But we take that AI principle very strictly on the things that we'll do or not, right? So, and then if you're looking at Google's strategy on AI, we also probably only company have the whole stack. If you look at AI, you need infrastructure, right? Infrastructure usually means not only the data center, but we have our TPU training our model, right? We also use NVIDIA, but we don't have to use a lot of reserves for using for our customers, but we have our own infrastructure, including TPUs to train for AI models. And then out of that, there's a whole, anybody familiar with the DeepMind? Yeah, this
That's
is
a
like,
company that Google acquired.
and then this company that Google acquired has the smartest people. There's actually 3 people this year win the Nobel Prize, like physics and chemistry. Those are the smartest people that PhD mathematicians do all those AI models. They do climate research. They do like cancer research. So we have a huge collaboration with all our institutions along with that to do all those DNA genetics models. So there's a whole research world class that's in there. And on top of that, of course, we can provide AI model and services. So Gemini is the generic names for Google's AI model that's underneath on the cover. And for a lot of those developers, they're using those AI tools. In general, there's a term called Vertex AI. It's a tool that for people to develop AI-related applications, right? So I'm simplifying the message a little bit.
One comment about that.
Yeah.
Any questions, Samar?
Are you going to go into some kind of a technology architecture or maybe
Use case.
show us
Use case,
like
Yeah.
That's exactly what's coming.
and then show us like how does the public sector differ from the corporate AI, Google corporate AI, and what are the other cities who
Yeah.
are using?
Yeah.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yeah. So that's exactly what's coming next.
Okay.
So this is how much time do we have? So we should be okay with that. Right?
If they pull the cord on us, then we're done.
No.
It's not simple.
So this is like, the video, it's a little bit long. We can play that later, but it's an interesting video. But I know you're anxious to hear all the examples. This is really the meat of this presentation, right? To look at all the examples. I have a lot of examples that's in there. But maybe let's play this really quickly. If you guys get bored with this one, then we can move on. Yeah, just tell me just about
I mean, originally we scheduled the meeting for an hour, right?
Oh, are we doing 2 hours now?
I think we did 2 hours for this one.
2 hours?
Okay.
But we can strengthen it.
No, that's okay. Go ahead, but
Are we good with this one? Okay, so I can play this one here now.
As a kid, I was really inspired by the explorers. I grew up in Seattle, and Lewis and Clark were kind of heroes locally. And I wanted to be an explorer when I grew up. As an electrical engineer, I would always look for new things that we can do that just weren't ever possible. And machine learning and research is an exploration. It feels like an intellectual exploration.
We've definitely seen a big uptake in the last 5 years in what machines are able to do compared to, say, the previous decade or two.
With the advent of a lot more data and a lot more computing power, we really can think bigger and sort of change the game about what kind of models we can envision.
The real world is actually very messy. Hard logical rules are not the way to solve real-world problems.
So machine learning is all about learning from examples.
Rather than writing 500,000 lines of code, we instead have the machine learn from observations about the world.
And we look through a bunch of these examples in the machine learning algorithm, maybe millions, maybe billions, maybe even trillions, to identify the patterns and generalize from there.
In the task of image recognition, we've been able to train models to take the pixels of an image and from those pixels, learn high-level features.
It starts to learn that if you see a cake and you see a kid, it's maybe a birthday party. If you see a cake and lots of kids, it's very likely a birthday party. That's essentially teaching the machines to do the perceptions that we humans are so natural and so good at.
You realize just how amazing humans are, just how amazing your 4-year-old is who can recognize faces.
Machine learning has really been the beginning of a big revolution in the field of speech recognition.
To teach speech recognition, how to interact with a noisy room. We used real-world sounds and we mix it into the examples that we already have.
Is it cold outside? Is it cold outside? Is it cold outside?
Now, no matter what the noise in the environment, our speech recognition systems can understand what you're saying. They can separate out one speaker from another.
With machine learning, we have now an algorithm that learns how to simulate a human linguist.
A lot of the language that we see today, it's very informal.
Blah, 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 blah. And they say, okay.
Interspersed with emojis and stickers. Now, with Google, we're getting to the point where you can have a much more natural conversation.
Any good Mexican places around here? Here you go.
The assistant product that we're building at Google uses the best of our machine learning techniques in speech recognition, image understanding, natural language understanding.
That's a promising direction for developing systems that can really navigate the mess of the real world. We wanted to make this an open source project so that everyone outside of Google could use the same system we're using inside Google.
There are lots of people who have made very, very creative uses of it without knowing a single bit of machine learning. So if they have the ideas, they don't need to do the heavy lifting that we've already done.
I saw a cool example where somebody used to have a cat going around their house all the time. So they trained a model to identify whenever the cat was there, and they would turn the sprinklers on to scare the cat away.
This elderly couple in Japan who ran a cucumber farm, and one of the big tasks is to sort the cucumbers into like prickly ones, less prickly ones, straight ones, curved ones, and it's actually a complicated task. So the wife would spend many hours a day sorting cucumbers. So the son picked up a computer vision model and was able to build a system to categorize the cucumbers and sort them automatically. All the time wasted sorting cucumbers is just going to be used in much better ways.
387 million people with diabetes are at risk for diabetic retinopathy. It causes blindness. The way that you can find signs of diabetic retinopathy is by taking pictures of the back of the eye. But there's just simply not enough doctors, and it takes hours for an interpretation. So we trained an algorithm that can read the images right then and there. The algorithm can help the doctors get more people screened for the disease.
The more you see machine learning and the kinds of things it can do, the more you see opportunity for it to improve people's lives.
You can use machine learning to save power at significant scales, even track the spread of diseases and epidemics.
We could use a computer vision model for everyone who's visually impaired.
We could make speech recognizer for everyone on the planet and drastically improve the experience of millions and billions of people.
I don't see any area of science or even of human endeavor that learned systems can't help with.
If you'd asked me a few years ago if a computer would be able to do this anytime soon, I would have said, I don't really think so.
It's very, very empowering to imagine what's going to come.
We're thinking thoughts and doing things that, no man has ever done, and sort of setting forth and setting foot in really new intellectual territory here.
The promise of AI and machine learning is that we can actually produce solutions to previously unsolved problems that will really help people.
So now let's talk about some of those government use cases that we're talking about. So the first big thing we're talking about is how to use accelerate for city work programs, right? That's the first thing. And specifically, there's the detail that's in there. So I want to touch a couple of things here. One is using AI for streaming process for like permitting, for example, right? There's a lot of paper processing. There's a lot of approved process automation that's in there. And that the second thing I will talk about is some of those from a transportation perspective, right? Especially, how do you proactively looking into some of those like for city or state of government managed transportation. So permitting, I think a lot of those government process were when I apply for like do a home remodel, I have to submit a bunch of paper, and there's multiple steps of processing when apply for different type of permits. So there's a lot of manual documents and a lot of manual people review. There's a multiple process that's in there, right? So the AI technology, in a nutshell, can literally go to all those documents, whether it's handwriting, pictures, and all that, be able to extract validate a lot of those information, right? And then using what sometimes we call a confidence level score. So you can read a bunch of things, and then after that, you can training your own data sets for those specific sets of documents. And then the process will automatically go through all that. So the AI can decide, well, those are good documents we can process. You can bypass that. We always have something called a human in the loop, because if you do need a human involved, right? Not every case the AI can handle it. Then you want to have a second eye from human to look at it, and then you can have a human involved to into this process in the middle, right? So this is the idea of this permitting process. So I'm just going to play a video here. that is the kind of the interactive workflow process within your current business requirements, whether it's a city or to build something way more complicated on the state level. We can look the like eligibility program, which you think about how many steps and process that you go through for those things to approve, right? So that whole process is very similar using some of the AI technology to process a large amount of documentations from driver license to like architecture diagrams, right? A lot of those things you can automate.
Okay, so the rules from the city and how much offset from the boundary and all that.
Yes, yeah. We actually have some of those demos.
We'll show you a quick demo of all that.
Well, we'll have some demo. We'll start with just kind of talking about those high use cases that we'll show you some of the demos.
Should we look at previous permits and train on those?
Yeah, so they're all out of the box, those modules that we already trained. For example, certain things like driver license, some of those information, Google already have a pre-trained module so you can use, right? But with other things like your own documents, then we can read a couple hundreds, so that the more accuracy we have. Another example is that anybody have traveled to like Hawaii during COVID? Okay, there's a safe travel app where guess that there's like 30,000 visitors internationally on travel. After COVID, there's only a couple hundred people because you go there, you have to volunteer for 10 days. So we built apps in like 6 weeks. Basically, it reads all those travel healthcare documents, and then with all those different languages that's in there too, right? Extract all this information. So got a QR code where you landing in Honolulu or Maui, and then without waste 2 weeks in the hotel room and check it right away. So those are, but initially when we read those documents, it has the first sets up in that process of reading. The accuracy is about like 70 to 80%, but after like a couple of days of training, accuracy went over like 95%, right? But there's always going to be some, initial those COVID part with handwriting that's in there. There's handwriting, but there's always like writings really bad to look at. So this is the idea. So any of those, permitting is just one of those most popular, most demanding city kind of process we want to do.
So is it actually doing a plan review?
So here is the thing, right? It's a step-by-step process. The first thing is mapping it to your processes, right? Foundational model itself is super powerful. It can read, understand, generate stuff. Right? But you may have a defined workflow, the process of review. You may have a standard operating procedure. You may have FAQs. Not just for the review, even for proponents who are filling in the paperwork, right? So the demo we will show will have like a two-person proponent, how AI makes life easier for them to upload or create that required artifacts or permitting artifacts.
So for the actual resident, to get a permit, it helps them walk through and
step by step
guide them to the right.
Guide them, and the mandatory documents required, the mandatory fields we fill. That's one way, right? Look at it from that time. Other is how a reviewer would benefit from this, right? A reviewer now in a day has to look at like 10 different permits, review everything manually, just one cumbersome, two error prone, right? Now, how can we kind of manage that, right? So AI can help do that. Now, for that, the main thing is obviously mapping it to your process, like you said, training it with the required content, guardrailing it. Now, we don't want it to look at generally available processes and all, right? It has to be guardrailed to adhere to your data, your processes,
our codes.
Yes.
Exactly. And then let's say, depending on the persona, right? Now you'll have two front ends, right? A chat kind of a front end for users to come in and submit that application. Today it could be they're doing a lot of PDF documents offline and just sending it, then maybe getting rejected and then resend and all those things. Instead of that, a front end which kind of gives them an ability to build that application, attach the supporting documents, and then also do compliance and error checks then and there itself so that they understand that. And AI doing that, right? No human getting involved. And then they submit.
Yeah, AI is guiding them that you need to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Is it scanning the included documents as well to see if they comply?
Exactly. So first thing is it is guiding to the step-by-step process. Second is it is guiding through the mandatory documents which are required, right? So there may be like 10 permit supporting documents one has to, furnish for a permitting process, right? So it has to kind of, it kind of helps them. Now the user need not like go through a website, understand all those things, print all those things, take like 10 days to do that, right? Now the person is being guided through a, chat session on what they need. And it also flag, the missing thing, the mandatory things and things like that. Likewise for reviewer, it makes even more easier, right? Let's say the initial packet or a revised version, how do they compare and contrast the annotated one versus the original one and then proceed with approving. So that's basically, it's a cumbersome process, right? AI makes things easy. The other thing is, like Daniel was mentioning, you can always, the process involves before an approval of permit, it involves a human review, mandatory human reviewer, is final, review. That can be introduced as well. That's basically the human in the loop concept, right? It could be one person, it could be 3 people, depending on the volume, size, changes of permit, whatever it is.
step in the process.
Yeah,
Right.
that's why I call it like your SOP or operating, standard operating.
Yeah, and then when usual episodes, they are coming to the office, open my thing, and there might be 10 things. But with all those documents, the AI can probably pre-fill all those things to tell them, for this particular permit use cases, that those are the 2 missing documents people need to submit for the use case, right? So it doesn't have to go through the manual process of doing that.
So are you saying you actually have a product that does this now?
So we can show you a demo of the prototype. We have a team which does this prototyping, which we productionalize with our customers.
The agencies already using this?
There are, yes.
Okay.
And Daniel, if there are no more questions, we can do a quick 10-minute thing. It's a long video, long recording, actual application recording. But I can kind of walk through and clarify any questions.
And you can also customize those use cases.
Yes, that's the idea.
Yeah, so one of the things we want to make sure people understand. We don't sell, Google doesn't sell software for this stuff. We have the services that, and that build these capabilities. So with the use of AI now that has the ability to generate content, we have the ability to kind of adapt and create more customized capabilities that we could not do before, right? With the way that things were built.
So again, we are using AI to also solve the AI problem. In the sense, let's say you want to build that solution, to your point, Prabir. If you want to build that solution, you have to live coding, live solution stack or products or services, like Paul mentioned.
So you're basically saying we can build this with your products.
Yeah, with our own products, right?
Yeah.
Now there are foundational, there are a few AI components involved there, foundational components for our LLM, depending on, what you want to use. There are multiple LLMs and multiple products, build those kind of apps, chatbots, search bots, multiple things are available. Now those are again tools or services or products, right? Google services or products. Now the solution is yours. Your secret sauce. Now, how do we marry them, right? So we have some jumpstart stuff like, we can help you with the prototype, and best practices. We can also help you with Git available code base, right? Which you can reuse. So we come in as a trusted advisor and help you set up all of those things. Yeah. And some could be just tweaking because, if you see you have, it's pretty similar to what we have, then we can definitely help you even faster. Okay.
So that monetization is based on the services you provide, or is it?
Use a token on Gemini. You just pay for that.
So like if I assume that usually you already have like permitting system or ticketing system that's in it, right? So AI just a layer on top of that to automate some of those process in the middle, right? So NetNet is all API calls, right? So once we understand the workflow, then we can help you, our partner can help you just build that workflow process on top of whatever the system we have, right? So it
Yeah.
doesn't really touch the bottom of your system.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when it uses tokens and all is very good. The thing to know is whether its savings are higher than.
Correct.
Or,
Yes.
So it's all token based, not for the initial training and consultation.
No, so Vertex AI, that's the thing, right? It's all APIs and sort of tokens. The prices have come down significantly. There may be services cost, like if you have to build buying a partner or to build, that's a cost, right? But from Google Cloud standpoint, it is only the usage, right? API usage by token.
Okay.
got it. So yeah, Kitty, more, you have any questions? We come down.
No, not at this time, but I'm curious about the demo. Yeah, thank you.
We'll go for it, and I'll show you guys another demo. I have it in my laptop. I could have shown the same thing, so that it takes time to set up. But this is super fast, and I'm here to answer any questions you have. Feel free to tell me on that.
So we can probably see the demo later. That would do it all.
So why don't you just unplay because this
Are these YouTube videos? Can you increase the speed maybe 0.5 times?
Yes, absolutely.
If you can make it 1.5 or something.
There we go.
Yeah, that's a speed.
Charlie, you have any question?
Where the idea is that
Can you use the speed also?
1.5.
applicant can have a conversation with the chatbot assistant to provide information in a iterative basis, or upload project documentation files. So first we can start by saying,
Yeah, 1.5 is fine.
and I
Increase the
want
volume.
to start a transmission project. From
Start
there,
the way
it'll iteratively collect information,
Yeah,
like
probably
name,
do that.
place of business,
Yeah,
etc.
that's good.
So we can go back
Right.
and see.
So,
is
while we are
transmission line
increasing,
project.
the very first step here is
So we
we
can
are
continue in
showing
this manner, or alternatively, we can just upload the initial
basically
project
taking
file,
an application, starting with
which
the
has a lot of information regarding
project name,
the title of the project,
and
the project
then
description, the
kind of
initial
walk,
objectives, as well as a map showing
proponent
roughly what the projected line for the transmission line would be.
Fine.
So now that a set of basic information has been collected, we can see that the project line has been opened over Google Maps.
sounds
so
like
that the
the
applicant has some idea
explaining.
roughly of what it would look like as a layer. And then we also can see that certain agencies have been identified. So the lead agency in this case would be the Department of Energy due to its role in the Coordinated Interagency Transmission Authorizations and Permits Program. And we can see that other associate agencies have been identified as well. So in this case, we have the Bureau of Land Management, the Army Corps of Engineers, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the EPA, the U.S. Forest Service, and the U.S. Department of Defense. So now that all of this information is available, we can select Create Project and understand better what's required in terms of our submission. So below the project summary on the main page here, we have all of the primary and associate agencies I mentioned earlier, but specifically we can also see all of the requirements that are needed for each individual agency to be submitted before we can proceed further. Toward that end, users can upload documents through the Documents tab in PDF format. So I'll start first by uploading an initial project overview. So this project overview contains some information like the contact information for the applicant, as well as a statement of interests and objectives, and the project description, which has voltage, ownership, intermediate substations, and the constraints and flexibility. So the idea here is that we would fulfill sections 1, 2, and almost all of number 5 for the Department of Energy's requirements, but importantly, Gemini was able to identify that the endpoints information was missing. So now if we go back and we alternatively use Project Overview B,
Good.
which is the same document, except that in addition to the information from earlier.
So typically, a standard operating procedure again, right? You may have listed down, okay, this is the process of a document for the proponent to follow. Do this, do this, do this, do this. That's laborious, right? And they can draft it in any which way, right? And have these kind of supplementary documents available. And when it is guiding, just feed it to the chatbot of the AI system. Now AI will kind of assess that, assimilate that, and say, hey, have that whatever mandatory requirement is fulfilled, and it will check the green box, right? And that's how it kind of, expedites and helps the user or the proponent to complete the application process faster. And then there's a compliance check will come.
It tells if these are.
Yes.
There's optional for American.
But let's be clear, Google isn't selling this application. Google is selling the tools that made this application.
Yes.
And so that's.
That needs to be clear to you.
A lot of these services that we created, we can make accessible to you. We don't start from scratch. If we already built it for somebody, that's a big portion of the development that we make it available so that one of our development partners can take it and modify it to meet your needs.
But you don't update it and keep it going to new requirements. It's
No.
essentially however you built it out for a client. If we want to use that and modify it, we can go from there.
Yes.
Right, so we're buying the full like architecture, so like the data store, the.
Yes. We have all the architects.
Different models.
And then.
Yes.
Yes. Very good.
But we still need to have that
What you
that
need is
technical
technical expertise from somebody who has stability.
and yeah, dedicated person to work on this.
And then the
That
second.
with and
Maybe-
ability.
Well,
I'm not-
hire someone like that.
Yeah.
Currently has an RFP out for promise streamlining.
Uh-huh.
So
Oh.
I think that's a different thing. This is kind of like helping the like a user interface, easier user.
That's one component.
So real quick,
Yeah.
our RFP that's out right now is for a public chatbot. It's not for permit.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Oh, the public
have
chatbot,
examples of that.
but I thought the planning department has an RFP.
We're researching what's out there because
Oh.
this is the time we do
No,
research
RFP,
because we need to put in budget proposals in January. So now is the time we're evaluating different products when it comes to
Yeah.
streamlining permits with AI.
So
that's
question is, I assume what you are researching is after all the document is submitted, the reviewing process of that permitting is
a
different.
couple different things.
This
One
is
is
So
one is
that's the next step.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is, so in this video, you will see the actual reviewing process also.
Oh, so you
two
also have
personas, right?
a tool that,
The first persona is an external user.
see if it meets all the requirements.
Yeah.
Code.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think this is where people are getting confused. I want to make sure everybody understands. Because, and this happens a lot because, for example, there are great software developers that take these tools and put it into a package and sell you a license.
yes.
And then they charge you on a continuous basis on a subscription.
And they keep it
And they-
updated and
right.
evolve it and maybe modify it for your needs as you move forward.
If you can customize it sometimes, they charge for that, right? So what we are doing is we are kind of breaking that model a little bit, meaning we think there's efficiencies to be had because right now, if you like, for example, go for an RFP for a permitting solution, there's lots of software vendors that do it and they create a package. And then you have to decide, does that align with my business process? Maybe 80% of it does. And then I have to adapt to the tool. And then I have to live by the development cycle of the tool, right?
Maybe.
Sometimes. Yeah, right? So that is one component of it. Where we are seeing things change, and this is why AI has become such a differentiator, is that a lot of the things that, in fact, what we're talking earlier about business rules and all that, all those concepts, AI is filling the gap technologically to do things that before we had to do programmatically, right? That we no longer have to do programmatically. Programmatically building these tools is extremely expensive. For example, if you fill unemployment forms, right? There's thousands of unemployment rules in the backend system. When those change, you have to go back to the vendor to go and update that, right? So what we're seeing is we're kind of taking out that concept out and injecting AI where we don't have to do that kind of work. So that enables us to be more flexible in terms of what can be built to your process instead of adapting a little bit more to the software, if that makes sense.
Good, yeah.
Yeah.
So now you build this for other cities, right?
Yeah.
So from other city perspective, what type of expertise did the city have? Or had they used some other partner to build the system for them? And what is the typical cost, upfront cost for that?
So it really depends on the complexity of the tool that you want built for the system, right? There's three costs associated with all this. One of them is using the Google services that would charge, those are the things that. Second is the people that build these services, put them all together. And third, maintaining that depending on how you want to evolve. Those are the three things. Depending on the complexity, some development cycles can be pretty expensive, especially if you're doing big transformational projects. This is why I want to go back to something Daniel said that's really important. What we're finding out, and especially for government, whenever you need to evaluate any tool, you have long evaluation processes, a lot of money, right? That you have to hedge in your bets. Sometimes you only get money once every 5 years, right? So
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pilot projects you can do for
Yeah.
relatively expensive.
a lot less, right? But the goal really, but there's city hunts there, right? So you guard them carefully.
Yes.
So what we typically see happen is whenever they have to do augmentation of capabilities of the current tools, we are kind of, this is what he said, we layer on top of it so that we complement some of maybe the things that you wish you could modernize in your current system that you're not able to because it'd be expensive to do a replacement. So we're able to just kind of augment capabilities of current systems. So then it provides you a little bit longer life cycle of current with the current environment until you evolve to maybe a different level of what you want. And that tends to be more cost effective. And it's a good way to kind of introduce yourself into some of these tools and capabilities.
Paul, I want to step back a little bit. Correct?
Yeah.
And wanted to extend to what I think Terry started this discussion. And I asked about what is the technology architecture here? Correct? And I hope you understand, or I don't know whether you know or not, our city is Microsoft shop. We use Azure Data Lake here. Okay. So I also wanted to understand that how does Google AI solution work in multi-cloud in architecture, correct? How does it work? So I think we should take a little bit of step back and look at what is the technological component you have and how does it fit to our city technology first, correct? So is the learning curve we are talking about curve is very steep, or is the curve is can we work with the Azure Data Lake instead of bringing your BigQuery kind of stuff, correct? So
yes,
so that depends on the solution, right? If it is AI, now look at AI solution. Right?
So when you say AI, what is that? Vertex AI? What are you talking about?
Yeah, so I think I touched a lot, right? So if you're using Azure, I see the backend, the data warehouse in the cloud. The integration should be very simple. Database is data.
What about the egress cost?
I'm sorry.
Egress cost and all.
Yeah. So
does your solution need BigQuery or Oracle Data Cloud? Google Data Cloud.
Well, it depends. So there are a couple of things, right? So there's typical data integration projects. So you can put data in Azure, you can put data in Google Cloud. We have almost equivalent of this, all the cloud that we have. Their version of the database, transactional data warehouse, that's all of it, right? So this is really architecture design because multi-cloud is really a thing. For example, we partner, you just mentioned about Oracle. I myself spent about a decade and a half in Oracle too. Right now we have direct connections with Oracle Cloud environment. So there are different options of, taking advantage of database, whether it's in Oracle OCI that we connect to it offers well.
And you move
So
data to Google Cloud? No,
we don't have to.
you don't have.
You have, it depends on architecture, how does that, right? So there are different ways to do architecture side of it. Because usually we have like a lot of cloud vendor that we have direct connections that's in there. So you're right, it's really about architecture because at the end of the day, it's really about data ingress, right? So we also have a lot of omni approach, which means, sometimes we can put a piece of our technology under the cloud vendor's environment or vice versa, like, because sometimes people like our technology, but my data sits on another cloud. I want to bring your AI technology into my cloud environment or the other way around, right? Because it depends on how. So those are the detail architecture.
Okay, so second question, so second question I have is, let's assume that we are Azure cloud shop, correct? The cloud is Azure.
Yeah.
And I understand that you can work on the multi-cloud provided all the cost stuff and all, correct? So the solution you are trying to talk about here is, what is the solution? From the Google technology perspective, what is the solution?
What are the components?
Like, what are the technological components?
Yeah.
So, and I think you clarified that you sell the technology and then city has to develop that solution on top of that, correct? So what technology you sell and then city has to develop either through the vendors or themselves, correct?
Yes.
Or your organization.
Yes.
So how does it work?
Yeah, so let me using one simple example here, right? Depends on use cases. There are different AI technologies.
Let's talk about this use case. Let's talk about this.
Let's hold on. This in general, there's Gemini is our core, right? Vertex AI is a terminology of using that, and then that is it's AI technology that does a lot of document processing.
So this is the Vertex document AI.
Yeah, document AI. Right?
Okay.
So
That's one of them.
yeah, that's one of those, right? And then let's simplify. There's other AI, but let's just say that's a document AI process that's in there, right? So your document can be living in multiple places, right? From architecture perspective, you're just using Google's, let's say, document AI process to process this information.
Okay. Okay.
If that makes sense.
So basically, here is the thing, right? You use the analogy of Azure data lake, right? So you're not, this project doesn't warrant like big data, right? We are talking about, yes, we are talking about some data. We're talking about some processes. We're talking about some information we store. A web app, you see on the top, it's a web app, right? Now let's say these are the basic components, right? So web app can be hosted on Google Cloud. It can be hosted on Microsoft or wherever, right? Because we have an app engine, you can host an app, simple, or Firebase with multiple tool sets on it. AI, Vertex AI platform is more of a development platform. Right?
So it's similar to Microsoft's Foundry.
Thanks.
Okay.
Right.
We certainly have that now.
Oh, great.
So the second thing is, any depth solution we build is an endpoint. It's an API endpoint, right? This becomes an endpoint. And let's say the chat is a widget. You are just integrating that widget in the website. To your point, right? So I'm trying to be more granular so that it makes it easy to understand. Third is, now you want to store some information, right? So there could be a storage need, right? Based on, I don't know where you store your permitting docs, or I'd say FAQs and all for training. That's the initial training which we can do, and you have your inference endpoint available. That's the inference endpoint you'll expose. Fourth is, let's say you want to use that app and somebody submits something, right? That could be like 1 MB, 2 MB, 3 MB, not like big data. Again, I'm going to that thing where I'm saying simple data, even egress cost or ingress cost will be super less. Push it to a central repository in Google Cloud Storage initially.
So you need Google Cloud storage, correct? For this to work.
Right?
And Terry, you said like we have a Microsoft Fabric at City.
Right.
Yeah.
We have it. Okay, so we have Microsoft Fabric. We have Azure, and we also have got Microsoft Office, correct? Yeah, I believe, Terry, the documents are stored in SharePoint.
Yes. Well, some.
Some.
Yeah. Different repositories.
How does that work, correct? So let's assume for the discussion sake, let's assume that all the city procedures and like, let's talk about this project.
Microsoft, right?
All city procedures are stored in a SharePoint.
Yeah.
And all the documents are stored. Obviously, application happens outside of the SharePoint, people apply. So how does this solution work on top of the Fabric and top of the SharePoint? How does it work?
So let's say, again, the same persona, right? Let's say your external constituents are not coming and accessing any of your SharePoint data, assuming that's a thing, right? So somebody has sent some information, posted some information, now there's a reviewer sitting, he's in your Microsoft SharePoint environment.
And that is the workflow within Vertex AI proper.
So then we have another product called Gemini Enterprise, which is our agentic solution, which has connected to SharePoint. Now that becomes your single pane of glass where we can use review. A lot of these UI chatbot search and conversations can be
Now,
expanded.
since you're talking about technology, so how is it different than Microsoft 365 Copilot? And do we have that, Terry?
So 365 Copilot is only 365 email, right? We are talking about extended now, or maybe SharePoint too. Our Gemini Enterprise is basically all first party connectors. You can also integrate with third party connectors.
Yeah, I'm not talking about 365 Office Copilot. I'm talking about 365 Copilot, which is different than the Office Copilot. You're talking about Office Copilot, correct? Office Copilot only works for Office products.
Right.
Yeah, 365 Copilot works into,
It's like ChatGPT.
like ChatGPT version
Yeah, that would be the similar.
Yeah. So it is, I believe the Gemini solution is very similar, correct?
Similar.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. Gemini Enterprise is great.
Enterprise is very similar, but the Enterprise and Microsoft 365 Copilot are a competitor product.
There are a few things, I mean, if I were to talk Google thing, right? There are a few things where we work our own models, right? Everything is from the ground up. It's the most popular model 3.0. It's multi-modal. If you've seen a lot of new features with respect to multi-modal available, NanoBime, Canvas, a lot of things are available for enterprise purposes. And then we also have an agentic development platform called ADK with the agent engine. You can build agents from the ground up. And then the other thing is you have an agent builder also, no code agent builder also available. Again,
Okay, so I wanted to set the expectation a little bit. I didn't know that whether you know our technology architecture, what we use. We are mostly Microsoft shop here.
Yeah.
Microsoft Office we use. She talked about. I didn't know she talked about like
AI Foundry, Fabric.
Fabric and all.
everywhere else.
So I think the real question is, how would Google work in a Microsoft environment?
Yeah, that is the.
So why would you do it anyway?
Yes.
Right. So maybe not. And I'm being very honest.
I'm sorry, like I'm
we
stepping into her shoes.
What we want to do is, like, we care that you guys make the most out of your investment. Sometimes Google might be a good fit for you, and sometimes it may not be, because it will require additional training, right? Additional tooling. Why would people do that? Well, only
What's the benefit?
why would you choose that? Well, it's a high mark, right? Especially if you built a lot of skills. The reason why people have started looking at why Google lately is because of one slide he presented, which is the whole stack. We run AI extremely effectively and efficiently, so we can lower the cost of use of AI. Our models run really well. The reason why we present that 10-year experience, 15-year of AI is we've operationalized AI for many years. And so now we grab those tools that we used internally at Google that has been running Google forever. We're exposing those to our clients. So we created a simplification. We're making it easier, more cost effective. The second part is our models, because we control the full stack, we can optimize them to run more efficiently. The third is we made them in ways that they can integrate with third-party capabilities. So we can integrate with your Microsoft platform. So those are the reason. What's that?
Sorry.
Yeah.
You have customers right now that are primarily Microsoft shops that are doing.
All of our customers are primarily Microsoft. It is.
Government typically.
Right, because for years.
Primarily, so you have customers that are primarily Microsoft shops.
Yeah.
And they're doing AI development in Google.
Yes.
So I just wanted to make sure I'm understanding too.
Yeah,
So when you're getting
I think
cloud,
the one I read is City of LA.
Yes.
Olympics.
Yeah.
No,
Yes.
one thing he said is right, correct? Google compute cost is generally lower than the,
Microsoft.
Microsoft.
Yeah.
Cost wise, if you are processing high volume of data.
But there's also the learning curve with having.
So, I mean, total cost of data,
So
how does it compare?
100%.
Right.
You do have to, yes, it's gonna take time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so I think the comparison is right, because if you look at, in general, we can compare Microsoft or OpenAI in the back, the model ChatGPT versus Gemini, right? So that's really a very detailed technical discussion. There's a lot of overlap, right? Because at one point ChatGPT will do better than Gemini, now the latest Gemini is better than. So that competition, I think it's a forever competition, right? Let's just be fair, right? Now, the product on top of that, there's a lot of redundancy that's in there too, right? But they are, because we're only talking about like the document processing as one part of this, right? Using the AI, but there are a lot of things that each vendor has its own advantage.
But the summary is like you guys and multi-cloud.
Yeah.
And you guys have done Google AI on top of Microsoft, let's call it data platform.
Yeah.
So
That happens all the time.
I want to give you an example because Google is good for maps. That's one of our core products, right? So for example, Vision AI is another thing that everybody, that's the next example I'm going to give. Now, but we had the advantage of, Vision AI, we're using your city maintenance vehicle, take footage of the road, detect pothole using AI, Microsoft. Everybody can do some of those. We can claim our Vision AI is a bit better to detect pothole. That's not important.
Traffic monitoring,
The important thing is that we can immediately integrate with our Google Maps to figure out exactly with the location of pothole, right? So those are some of the things that examples of why sometimes the customers using the ecosystem.
Come to you.
Right. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It makes sense. I think we can go ahead. Sorry for little diversion.
But that's a good discussion to have.
I wanted to make sure like we understand. Like,
No. It's a fantastic question. It's a real question, right? Like as you evaluate, this is an evaluation and this, you're responsible to your residents, right?
Exactly.
And these are highly sophisticated, complex tools,
Yes.
right? It's gonna require time and investment. And Microsoft is a fantastic, peer of ours, right? No problem. What we want, we're doing some cool stuff. We are providing some really, and more importantly though, I think the question is, as people are investing money, evaluating, there's a reason why we made it open, right? Because we know that Google's been in the consumer business forever. It's not been in the enterprise business until more recently. And we're now giving you tools that we've had for enterprise for, internally to use that. So it takes learning cycles and like, what's a differentiator? We like to focus on the things that enhance your experience, right? Like no point in, I don't like it's a tablet.
I think it's good enough. I think it's good enough. We understand.
Yeah.
And Terry, I don't think we are like one cloud solution, correct? We're not.
Right.
Yeah.
You can go multi-cloud if the city decides to go.
Yeah.
We also
Wanted to understand how does it.
we also use Amazon.
Yeah.
She also uses Amazon. So he's talking about it. She also uses Amazon.
Yeah. If I may just add quickly on this, right? Because I think a couple of things like our customers, I'm a customer looking at cost efficiency, right? Because cost is one of the factor that's in there, and the integrations are very important. Because I think Google as a company, we typically, I spend time with Microsoft, Oracle. That's like, because that enterprise area for a very long time. So they want to lock us into Google is obviously the most open, like we give Kubernetes, we give our code to everybody, right? To integrate. So that we are very integration friendly. I would say that's the way. The last part is, if you look at it, if you're already in the Microsoft ecosystem, it does 90% of it, which is fine. If not every vendor is good at everything, right? So if you're missing that 10% of the AI, you think that this is where we come in to fulfill that 10% for you. Yeah.
Also to add, right, what when living in Bay Area, I'm a local resident, everything is fit for purpose.
Yes.
Right? If you're looking for modern things, yes, we are there, right? I mean,
okay.
It's the best when every hyperscaler has their things, right? Products will evolve,
Yeah.
Right?
No, let's go ahead with the presentation. We wanted to understand more and more use cases also, correct?
Yeah,
We wanted little.
We have a lot, so why don't we, let's get, you wanna show them yours?
Yeah, I'll show that. Let's quickly go through. This is the, if you can go back,
go back.
because that was the user persona, right?
Yeah.
If you can quickly forward that, let's also show them the reviewer persona.
Which one?
Go back up. Go back.
Okay.
In this,
Yeah. Continue playing, that's right, okay.
play that and then extend.
Go to the middle.
Yeah, go to the middle.
So I'll be
Reviewer persona. This form.
submit in order to
Yeah, that's submitted.
proceed to the following step for compliance checks.
So again, this app could be somewhere, right?
Right.
Internal, it could be in a different place. Now that user logs in, the information will be available in the queue. And then person can start proceeding. That person will have again set of standard operating procedure, workflow steps that person has to adhere to. So
now that that's been
Yeah.
submitted and saved,
do that.
we can now run the data and technology compliance check, which provides some detailed analysis in terms of certain compliance categories. And we can also see the Section 368 corridor requirements have been completed as well. If needed, you can also expand the map on the top right here to view the energy corridors visually overlaid with the transmission line projected path. And you can see that, and you can expand further out to get an understanding of where within the 11 states for the Section 38 map this lies.
You have the
So
use
now
case.
at this stage, we're still waiting for
Yeah.
feedback from the reviewer's perspective.
LA, no? National?
Right, so I'm gonna be
Yeah.
showing the reviewer portal. When we first log
Like
into the portal,
we have
can
a survey
see
document,
dashboard of
right?
existing projects
And
as well
we
as their
the survey
statuses.
document and things like that.
These
Yes,
two here are
it's
placeholder
super
projects.
powerful
The
there.
South Line
Because it
transmission line
learns.
is the one that Kim
I'll show you a
just
quick
submitted.
demo of
You can see
a
it's
survey
underway, the
comparison.
review along
When
with
somebody
four documents that
has like a red line document.
When I click review here,
It
it brings
is
me into the project summary page.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Where
Cause
the
So
project
I
summary is derived from
you have
the
your
submission
source data,
process.
like with the
Project
information,
details are
your
also
models are
listed on
trained
the
on that source
You can see
data.
the point
Correct.
of contact is correct.
Your inputs, it's
By the way,
routed through different agents, and it's all shown on
length,
the app,
timelines.
right?
Right.
These are all information that's been previously
You want to continue on that
provided
one?
by Gemini.
I can show.
yeah, let's show the other one. Cause I think the other one will make sure most of it.
Yeah, I'll stop.
And this was
sharing.
cool too. This was interesting.
Yeah,
Is the document redlining it?
yes.
Yeah, so that's if you see that red lining, so let me just open my. So it's basically what you see is a survey comparator. I mean, this could be in a layman's language, could be any kind of document comparison, right? So cities, counties, governments will process lots and lots of documents in different forms, and manually reviewing that is cumbersome. Right? So let me go ahead and use a redline document, resubmission document. Again, this is a survey document, and kind of a quick comparison. So this is a redline document. I'm not sure if you guys are seeing it, but yeah, I'm just uploading that. Anyway, security. I'll show once the screen comes up. So, all right. So I have two documents, a similar document, but one is redline, one is the resubmitted one. So I'm going to do a compare. Now, AI is analyzing the document. It has been explicitly told what to look for. And then it is going to do a compare, list down the changes, list down the anomalies, and then also highlight the changes in the anomalies. Then we also have an analysis view and an overlay view of the same document, in case people have to go and pinpoint and see more granular stuff. And this can be extended to any kind of document, but right now it's only for the survey document. So typically it takes around 15 seconds to 20 seconds. Right now, this entire document is just one page, but then if there are more pages, obviously it's going to, take a little bit more time. I am on my hotspot. Okay, done. So if you see, what is that it has done is, like I was saying earlier, it's showing me the analysis result. So from the resubmission, there was a need for them to address certain changes. Have they addressed? So it kind of, calls out all the things which it has addressed. And the red lines which have not been addressed, it is kind of, calling out those as well. All within 15 seconds. Now imagine the same thing a surveyor has to do manually. It will take forever, and he may also miss down annotating or noting the stuff. Right? And then it also catches some few things which are interesting here. I never asked for this, changes to be done, but it looks like they have proactively or unnecessarily done that, right? So now AI is powerful in looking at all of these things and then, calling that out. And I can always hover here and, go to the specific survey map.
And this is also developed, this is not out of the box, this needs to be developed on the AI platform.
That's correct.
It's built. So you.
Yeah,
just
this
get
is
to go.
reusable now. This is reusable.
Now it's reusable.
So this model is available, it does exactly this.
Yes.
Yep.
If you
But-
want it modified for something specific, then we just.
So from our side, what does that look like? These are like a landing page in Google Cloud,
Yeah.
marketplace to say, or like a, whatever you want to call it, where it's like,
Yeah.
these are the available models.
Yeah, model.
These are the agents that you can deploy.
Yes, exactly.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah.
so the other thing here, so that this may be of interest to you, right? We are hearing AI now, right? So we had a document AI product, call it like already built solutions, right? So doc AI product for last 5-6 years. Now you can play, you can just go to Google document AI and you can play, right? Any kind of document you can throw at that. It will parse out the entities and values. It will do even handwriting analysis. Now those are all powered by Gemini, right? So you use that in conjunction with, some of the other products and you build a solution. Now some are like jumpstart stuff, right? Some will require customization. Now here, if you see, it allows you to, it basically does an overlay of both. And then now I can look at the resubmission view, which kind of changes the color code. I mean, these are more features which you can kind of play with for users.
And it can read handwritten notes too.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. Again, Gemini 3.0 and even 2.5, which was the earlier version, it's multi-modal. It's not just, it can pretty much do anything. And we also have a live API. That means I can use the live API, throw it against the document, ask it to understand it, You can converse as you.
Handwriting, actually, we get like the Hawaii Safe Travel app we did.
Oh, that's right. You talked about that.
So if you remember the earlier version of the COVID call, like
Right.
vaccination, it's all handwriting. The nurse writing a line. It reads very well. We have like 95% accuracy. Yeah.
So, and probably to your question earlier, right? Many a times, again, the surveyor is going actually to that survey site and trying to do something, right? Annotate something. One is doing in the map. The other is orally speaking into that, right? Again, that's an AI model called speech to text. Speech to text, get it in text, process it downstream into, say, your Azure Lake, right? I mean, it requires some plumbing, some integrations, like Daniel was saying, but all of these things is what we are seeing, how customers are leveraging multi-cloud, right? Google Cloud products and that is what we're like.
Another popular thing also that like parking tickets. A lot of scam writings, right? So you can literally the web app just have, the placement to just take a picture of that, right? Extract those information out. Right?
Do you have any PRA tools or redaction tools?
And yeah.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Definitely.
Okay, so this is what's interesting, and so what happens is, we had a client who said, I want to redact FOIA requests, like affect client. So in a matter of a day, one of these guys said, okay, here are my services, put it together, tested it out. The reason why we're having success with it is because the AI models are extremely efficient at doing a lot of the work that used to take forever to code. So I think it took an engineer like a handful of hours to build that reduction idea. Yes.
And when you say that they built it, did the city pay for that development?
No, we helped that. We did the prototype.
Okay.
To make sure. We end up doing a lot of prototypes.
Or something.
Google will do it.
Just to make it available within their environment and say, we have this.
So if it works, right? Eventually you will, you will use their services and.
And it's kind of based on like in Azure, you have the tiers. If you're using GPT-4 mini, it costs less than if you're using the newer version. Is that similar?
We have various models, different costs.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one is the AI thing, right? The one for, let's say data loss prevention or sensitive data protection, but those are just APIs. Right? In my view, that's not even an AI, right? So you're basically sending some information, asking the API to redact some information, send it, mask it. Those have been there in our ecosystem for long. And I have you can go to Google and let me just share this.
Actually, give you two use cases very quickly.
So this is available in Google. You can go and play it on.
Yeah, but that's the easy stuff. What about, when it's looking for specific attorney language and.
Exactly the example I tried to give. Yeah.
Yeah.
For example, so one of the California court system where marijuana, redactions because someone get arrested, you have a whole documents, right? You might have possessed illegal weapons in the back. In the same time, you also have no direct access to marijuana. But in the past, you have two cases that's in the same. So redaction, take that things out, right? So that's a user case of that redaction that's in there.
Yes.
To the other like highly secure sensitive information protection, for example, we do eligibility system. We're thinking about people are uploading their financial information and all that for the eligibility for apply for SNAP 10 and those benefits, right? So that's you have to comply with the whole 1075 compliance. We have all that too.
And I guess I'm curious too, if you have other PRA request tools that help expedite that whole process, because it's a pretty manual process that costs a lot of money. But there's a lot of ways to, get those requests, narrow them down through AI questions and then, pull the data, look at it and make sure that it's actually meeting the requirements and then doing the appropriate redaction.
Yeah, so yes, we can do that. Another one that has been very interesting, I'm actually talking to the police department about fact finding, like for investigations. We actually built it for unemployment. When you do an interview, when somebody is submitting an unemployment claim, at the state level, it's a very complicated set of like 300 questions just to validate. And the old systems, the current systems, they're rule-based. And so they have to do the tree of questions. So yeah, it's fantastic at that because you start asking questions and it knows what question to ask to gather the information that it does. So it's a fact-finding thing.
Right.
It's almost like an interview. Right. And it changes the interaction between the person filling the application. This is very tedious, right? Because these are all boxes that you have to fill into a conversation. Now, all of a sudden, it's a more humane interaction, even though we're using a machine. And it's such an interesting application of AI to use it for gathering facts. And then we gather the facts from the employer side, and then we can do cross-validation, we can do timelines, so now we have an incredible set of tools that we can do before. And if you think about its applicability for law enforcement, where they're collecting information from witnesses or whatever.
Yeah.
So this is where we get engaged a lot, when people are thinking through like, oh gosh, this is something that is very manual. How would I step into the space? So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess I'm just curious what your
All those-
pool of all these different
Hundreds and
tools
hundreds.
are out there, and yeah,
Yes.
how well built out it is for government.
So one of the interesting components to this, Google Cloud is a 100% fully robust platform, right? Like services are secured. It's a matter of putting the right services to work together, whether and integrating with the right set of data to do the thing, right? We're finding out many of our development partners are out of the business of building software and into the business of being your partner. And actually, it's more cost effective. We're finding out that it's more cost effective because you're paying for what you need at the time to do the maintenance and support.
Right, and each agency's dynamic is different, so
Exactly.
obviously you can't, it's not all cookie cutter, yeah.
Correct. Exactly.
Makes sense.
If you have a use case, where again, we spoke about the rapid innovation platform, or a team which does a lot of prototyping, and can maybe pinpoint and make a use case.
Yeah, exactly. We started this like 2 years ago, where we started conversations like this with clients, and they said, well, we never been able to do this. So we'll bring our engineers and before you invest money, let's test it out, make sure it's gonna work.
Quick prototype, right?
But then let's bring somebody that can help you put it into production so that it's a tool that can be sustained in a cost-effective way. And that's a good chunk of work that we do. Did you want to, do anything else? We don't. Well, we have so many tools, so.
We have a lot of examples, but I want to make sure like the example is relevant, so we can just kind of talk in the high level on where the system concepts.
So maybe one thing will help is, if you can share which cities are using the solution and what are the use cases they are using.
Oh, God. Don't you have them? Lots.
So Los Angeles.
Yeah, there's lots. So.
What are the use cases there?
Sure. Lots of permitting capabilities, lots of contact center, virtual agents, chatbots. That's been like the best place to start.
So definitely I'll say like in terms of the document AI we talk about, right? Call centers are being a big player over here.
311s.
311s, those people calling, even for more sophisticated like eligibility, workers that they can call. We have tool like call center agent assist that can real time use AI to help them answer questions. Right. So just on very high level, right? Because if I'm a call center, people answer the virtual agent you can't answer like the simple questions, right? Yeah, 90% of it. Yeah.
So Cupertino is a pretty small city, as we all know. We don't have a call center.
Yeah.
We've set up our 311 so that it goes directly to the people that do the work. That doesn't always work well, right? And residents don't always pick the right category. We do our best to massage it and make sure it does, because we want to get them the response they need as quickly as possible. But yes, an AI chatbot would be very helpful, and that's something that.
So virtual agent call center that will answer a lot of those questions for us. So
you have the ones where they're.
Yeah, we'll probably show
We
the
have
demo.
one very late, so.
I think we'll do a show quick demo.
Yeah, that's.
And you have ones where they're like talking to the actual.
Oh, that's all.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
have our source systems that. are
And
public.
you stop talking to them. There was lots of good stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Chatbot, Put it into the.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
You're going to
Nice.
have this whole presentation with us, right? So that we can.
Yes. And actually the presentation will have way more stuff than what we talked about.
There's a lot of use cases. Transportation, we did quite a bit of those for traffic stuff. So one thing we kind of talked about earlier is we're talking about the Microsoft data warehouse. We have the equivalent of BigQuery, but Google is a data company. So we have a lot of these public data sets from the climate change data sets or populations, equity data
Those
sets.
are available only for BigQuery, correct?
Yeah, so we provide those for free, actually. So,
But only if we use BigQuery.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this is one of the platform. For example, this is actually there's a popular website you can go for state of Hawaii where we did two projects. One is focused on safety analytics, the other is on climate insight. But it gets a lot of the public data sets along with.
Safety and what is the other one? Crime?
You can do crime data sets.
Climate.
There's a climate data sets. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is basically, for city or local government or state level, you can look at all infrastructure data, right? So where my school, highway, roads, and all that, red lights and all that. Yeah.
So
all
that's
those-
public facing.
Yeah.
Public
That is the data.
Yeah, so we have crash data sets, equity data sets, that's all in there. So you can look within the city, see who lives in this, right? There's a lot of data sets you can use it. Like from a traffic analytic perspective, we can look at which intersection has maybe most crash that's happened so that we can do predictive analysis on, what things you can do to prevent, reduce crashes, right? Fatal crashes. And then they build some internal mechanism for countermeasurement, see what if I do this and that will reduce, whether it's reduce speed or put like ads for camping for, safety for highway. So you can do a lot of those things here, right? But they're using a lot of technology. This is one of those like using our vision AI, right? So that, like for example, University of Hawaii, they do a lot of those. They manage all those cameras for those intersections, so we can use that to detect the speed of the car and all that for just understand the crash analysis, right? Same thing for this is the same thing in downtown Honolulu. We're looking at people, pedestrian going through that, bikes and all that, so you can detect those, right? But what it translates is more into like a visual platform that you can actually go there to look at real-time data from camera intersections, right? Along with our data platform with equity and all the other data, bridges, highways. So you can have a more of a comprehensive analysis prediction for that, right? So that's one of the examples of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if
From the chatbot side, since we have RFP out, I mean, I can see a lot of, in my house, for example, we have been made 3 days. So anytime we use the Google Translate and it works beautifully, C uses that too.
Yeah, I do have a translation example that's in there too, yes. So translation is another one, right? Everybody's using a Google Translate, but we have, the cloud version of it. Web translations, of course, everybody's using that for our widgets,
Yeah,
right?
if your chatbot works for these multi-languages and stuff like that, because the city and then sending them to the right places and.
Yeah, a lot of times, like Zoom meetings, board meetings, we can transcribe this in multiple language, summarize it. We can do search in that, right? So we can do that. Document translation, of course, right?
Yeah,
So
And Vice Mayor, you were saying some, go through all the meetings, all the documents over 5 years and tell us all the great issues that were came up on this topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Summarizing. Yeah, that's a very popular use case. Imagine, what you can do today with Google. Like when you search for something in Google, that AI summary comes up, the AI mode AI summary, that's the same feature we have extended to a lot of enterprise products which we're talking about, especially Gemini Enterprise. So you attach a corpus of data, as queries. So it's going to summarize the information for you with citations of from where it build that generative AI content. Okay.
It's the one thing that Google is really good at is our search capability, right? So, like for example, board meetings, you can not only transcribe a thing in whatever format we can search for, like if we search for keywords in that 3 minutes, someone mentioned about in that town hall meeting for this, we can do all these capabilities, right?
Find out who all mentioned this.
Exactly. Yeah, because if you have like 8 hours, those like city board meetings in the archive, but sometimes people look at, well, I want to search for that specific things that we have discussion in the last year or two, right? So it's very hard to manually, even with summarized document, that can tell you exactly which video file within that and what minutes you have set that thing, right? Yeah. Call center we can talk about, right? Or any of those, real-time thing. KS is
More like chatbot request calls.
exactly. But that's the same thing as the language translation, right? The KS solution, that's usually for like government service, if people goes to a city hall trying to get some service, but if they don't speak English native, so you can actually use that as a real time. So this is like a example of like a loan mortgage people go there, but net is the same thing. We can use Google Translate, whether it's on a device of a phone, but it can be built in real time, right? So it can be using any devices. For example, yeah.
How can I help you today?
Come posso aiutarti oggi?
Vorrei fare un mutuo per il secondo ristorante.
I would like to make a mortgage for the second restaurant.
How much do you want to borrow?
Quanto vuoi prendere in prestito?
Yeah. So we don't have the whole thing. We get the ideas of like whether it's in hospital, city hall, or any other government service, you can use the translation for the case. So that's another AI component that's in there.
So and the slight difference in that is that the models can be customized to the specific needs so that it's adapted for the use case.
And that's a good call out, and somebody asked about those examples, City of San Jose's, interesting use case, Vietnamese population.
Yes.
Specifically Vietnamese language, dialects, there are multiple dialects,
Yeah.
right? We help train a model and leverage that for their,
Yeah, that's been very successful.
I mean, we have examples. Similarly, I saw you guys using a widget, right? Standard widget, but that's an opportunity I see as for modernizing, right? Let's say you want, one of the key themes was constituent engagement, right? So if you want to bring in more language folks to their website, that's an opportunity, right? So this is some of our AI products. You can in fact train a new language also.
So like even for Hawaii, when we did the call center, we're using the local Pidgin language along with that. The local city of San Jose for the Vietnamese population. I think the initial model we did is on the northern accents, but the majority of the Vietnamese population is from like the south. They after 60 come over. So the initial translation would have the annotation of the northern Vietnamese kind of dialects, which would remind them of a communist totally right. So they really kind of like, I don't like that, right? So we actually can modify this by the new one so that it will more fit into the seven. Like
I also wanted to ask this. Let's say city decides one use case and we want to try a POCs and proof of concept.
Yeah.
How does it work?
Sure. So typically the way we engage with our city partners, we kind of sit down with you and say, okay, this is what we're thinking about doing. We'll spend some time, whether it's, I'll bring Daniel or Sundar or one of their teammates or somebody from their team. We kind of map out what it is that you need to accomplish. We'll test it out. We'll use a couple of use cases. We've had a lot of partners that built many of these things anyway. So typically sometimes we'll bring one of those partners and we'll check it out and see if we've done it already, we just say, hey, here it is, test it out. If it's new, we create a new capability and say, here you go. Then the goal really though is to kind of help say, how would this look in your environment? And then we provide the architecture, design, all that stuff. Yeah.
Typically like a 4-week kind of an engagement, right? Call it the MVP, POC, which you can also productionize. We want to get some quick wins, scope out what is the problem statement. 4 weeks of effort to that. We can always help if it's already there from our prototyping team. We can always help with the code base and other stuff.
Do you have any interest in it?
Yeah, you are okay to do that without a contract, do something like that for us.
Yes, we can do it. We,
No, we aren't. We would have to have a contract.
you have to have a contract.
Yes.
If there's two ways, if we, sometimes if you want, as long as we don't use any personal data or private data, if we use public data, if you want, sometimes our partners will post environment and test it out for you. That's like the lowest risk. If you want to formalize a little more with specific outcomes, and typically we'll do a high level scope work. Just simplified it and.
And that is what I was thinking, like, obviously, that is her domain. But if let's say a city comes out with one use case and we want to try.
Yeah.
Like permit, and I think you were talking about.
Right.
Or something, correct?
In public records request.
Yes.
But the thing is, for our agency with our purchasing requirements, we do have to go out to RFP. We can't just say.
For a POC.
Oh, even for pilot, even for a. That is my question.
For a pilot, it depends on the cost, right? If it's over a certain threshold, then we have to go to RFP. If it's under a threshold, then we still have to get multiple quotes.
So let's ask them.
No, but
If they do pilot
are
for free.
willing to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll invest.
But
Already. PRA tool, public records.
Yeah, public records request, is that what you're asking about?
Yes.
I think we have one of those. Yeah. We can check it out. So.
That would be the POC.
Yeah, if you.
What I'm recommending here is, I'm putting that on the table.
Sure.
Let's say what she's talking about, public records, If
Public record access.
Yeah, if that is the POC we decide, somebody decides like that is the POC and we want to try your solution. Number one question is, do you offer POC for free so that we take the commercial out of it?
No, actually, there is cost associated with the internal resource also.
Exactly.
No, I'm talking from their side, and then I'm coming to Terry's side, so I'm coming to this.
Yeah, we've done it. Yes.
And the second thing is, you don't need a legal contract for POC. Or do you need?
If there's no expectations of deliverables, right?
Yes.
Right.
But
Okay.
your side, city side, we need contract, correct? Because.
If we're spending any of the city time. So if they're just building a proof of concept, go for it.
Okay.
But
But
not
we need a
until,
contract.
yes.
And obviously we need somebody's your staff time to try
Right.
that solution.
And there's
Also, you need, here is the original, here is the redacted data.
What the redact, yeah, the RFP.
What rules you.
right. But typically they don't use our data to do prototype. I mean, redaction.
And what about the data governance side of it? Do you have anything?
Well, that's what I'm saying. For a prototype, they don't need to have our data.
No, we don't want to touch it.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, so what we would
wouldn't
do, we would, we would not use your data. We typically use something else.
Okay.
But that would be good to have a template of whatever.
Yes.
Document type.
Yeah, so for example, so the redaction tool that, that we, yes, we have it built. It's trained on FOIA requests, it's federal requesting.
But is it just a redaction tool? Because when you say PRAs, there's a whole process that is encompassed there.
Complete act.
There's all kinds of different components that kind of make up.
Text, that would make, yeah,
Yeah, so it depends, there's a lot of,
it's not just only keywords that.
I think.
No.
We
It's like.
Right.
talk to you guys about that and see what you have.
Yes.
And then go from there. Because we have been talking to other companies and there are some other interesting tools out there.
But
yeah,
even if you do a POC, their RFP, they are willing to invest, and so.
yeah, I think what we typically do, so, right, like any business, our interest is that you use our cloud. That's it, super simple. That's what Google wants. Use our AI models.
Investment there. Right?
We typically, most of the cloud consumption for a POC is not a lot. It's like, it's not, like, we can, that's not what causes the cost.
Do we need to set up the infrastructure for the city? No.
Nope.
We can.
No, typically, this is why we typically bring a partner. that allow, because they typically can just run these models on their own.
On their end.
Yeah.
And
It's-
since we are not sharing our data.
Right. Correct. So it makes it easy for us to, right, what we do typically is we fund our partners. Right, we make the investment with our partners and say, all right, Cupertino would like to see if this, redaction tool is able to do this. Normally, we bring somebody who has done that.
Right, so you're working with their developers.
The SI partner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll introduce you to some SI partner, Say like, okay, we are doing a.
We can
favor.
develop this for use their tools to,
So I think,
And if the POC is successful, they will try to sell it.
right.
so I think there are two models, right? Because one is we can onboarding your own environment, we can give you some credits depending on the type of project, usually it does not consume a lot, so you will have your Google's own cloud environment, right? But sometimes it's easier because you might have internal process. The technology onboarding environment is very simple. It's just like you may have your internal process to do that. The other is, if you want to do a POC, a partner can host an environment, given that they are probably not touching any of those sensitive information.
And Terry, you mentioned that for POC also you need to run RFP.
Well, I mean, if you're working with a developer that's gonna build this out for you, I'm assuming they're gonna want to have you pay, they're not gonna just build it out.
They will invest.
No, we,
They're working with a partner. Is the partner also going to?
no, we pay the partner.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh,
We fund the partners.
okay.
So,
Yeah, this is Google's investment.
Google investment.
Yeah, that's how we work with our partners. Like,
but for the documentation requires some like blank documents and stuff. It's something, right?
yeah, we can test it out. If those forms, we can make up.
Or yeah, some forms so that they have
Yeah,
something to go by.
yeah, we can test that out. That's not, and because we already have done this several times.
Right.
So we
And
try
that
to
is
make it as
the reason I
cost
asked-
effective
And that is
for
the
everybody.
reason I asked this question about the privacy and data privacy.
Yeah.
But if we are not sharing city data.
Right.
We are doing the POC on a dummy data then.
Right. So that makes it easier. So,
Yeah, but we give them some documents which are not.
right, exactly. It's not, there's
Yeah,
no,
but not like city private.
right.
Not
But-
private.
But let's walk through that. So if
Yeah.
we do the,
POC.
yes, then, what if we don't like it? Or what if we like it? We still have to go out to RFP.
Yeah, so typically what we've seen happen, and it just is.
Okay, this is a good point.
Yeah.
So this is a good point, correct? Because we are public, we are.
Yeah.
Correct? Even if you like it, we cannot favor it, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have to go through a public RFP.
Yeah. This is what we do.
Yeah, and I would need to talk to my purchasing
Hopefully-
manager, because even if we're going out to RFP, going to this
Yeah.
level with a company
Will we?
will sway your, cause
Right.
that could
So it will
throw
become-
whole competitiveness
From the-
off.
But at the same time, we want to do something which really saves money and efficiency, right? But when you do that,
Ultimately, it does, I mean, you know what I mean? Like we have to make sure we're competitive.
But you need to check with the city attorney also whether that is a favoring the RFP process.
Yeah.
Let me ask this, right? There's another way to do that.
Because there's other, companies out there that already have tools that are created for these. So, going with,
So we never do, that means we never do POC, free POC, that kind of stuff.
no.
We never do that.
No, typically we work with vendors that have the products that we're looking for, and we evaluate them.
Mhm.
And then select it. They usually already have the product. This is a different
no,
concept.
but are they like similar? There is a AI framework where you can deploy other things, right? But
Right.
it will be a point solution that they have developed.
So, Fabi, this is an important point, and whether it's Microsoft or Google, right? What we're building is an ecosystem of AI tooling, right? So typically we start with a project, but once you start looking at data and you start expanding, it's more than just that unique use case.
Product, sure, but you're
Okay.
still gonna need the
Okay.
developer, third party to help you build out these tools. So it's not necessarily, inexpensive. And we already have Microsoft Foundry, which basically gives you these tools too, with the different models and solutions. So it's,
So Terry, probably you have to little bit, on your side, you have to do little bit.
You have to
of
look at it.
You have to look at
Yeah.
it, correct? You have to look.
Yeah, it's, I mean,
If the integrated,
Their side, they are okay, but from our side.
yeah, but I definitely understand that you guys have unique models that are not currently out there in other places. So
Right.
that's where the value is, and that's
and the integrated.
where we need
stack.
to evaluate.
From their side, the offer is that
But-
we invest in their partner free of cost to the city to do a POC.
Right.
Which on a use case is decides. correct?
Right.
Use case by use, case, yeah.
I mean, the one way of looking at it,
That could be, you know, proof of concept, so it's something like, okay, hey, this is something similar to what could work for
Yeah.
what you're looking for. But to tweak it and really get it to where it's usable and it will cost money, right?
Terry, another way of looking at it is, are the other vendors willing to do the same proof of concept, right? If it, for free, okay? If they don't, then they're eliminated.
Right,
Then
Yes.
that becomes the RFP process.
Then that-
yeah, exactly.
so one of the many cities, depending, I haven't looked up your procurement requirements, typically leverage standard contracts, purchasing contracts. Sometimes that helps with
Yes,
the requirements for RFPs.
yes,
Google is part of these contracts, so we can
cooperative
sometimes, yeah,
agreements.
whether it's through the state of California or NASPA or whatever,
Yes.
there's
Well,
Omnia, several. And so that typically helps,
yeah,
right? And without bypassing procurement laws or anything, to the contrary, making sure we follow the procurement laws. And sometimes we will avoid a POC if that makes it difficult for somebody to be able to do an RFP.
Right.
Right. So we do, if that is evaluated as well. So we want to be fair with
What is already, yeah.
do the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we just follow your lead. You guys have to tell us how it's going to work.
So Paul, you explained it very well. We understand your side of it. We need to little bit.
Yeah, your side.
Our side, correct?
Yeah.
How does, like, we are
Also, Terry, the thing to,
A different question, are we done with this?
Yeah.
I just had one other quick question. So what you were saying is you have an integrated stack versus some of the other guys.
So a lot of, when you start injecting AI tools into a process, you got to get some economies of scale, right? Meaning, once you learn how to use a model, how do you make it efficient to use it across other things? For example, you build something like this survey comparison. Well, it's a similar model to the redaction model, right? 'Cause if you look at, when you're asking about the architecture, you'll see underneath the things that do the thing. Right?
Yeah.
Sorry. So a lot of what we are doing as well is providing training and development for staff, meaning we enable courses at no cost to the city to.
That's included in your package.
So I have a question, like, on your IT side, do you have, like, how big is the IT, like, sounds like you have large.
So our IT is 20 people, but that includes like a video group, which is
Yeah.
gonna be working on this and, yeah, I mean, I guess the other groups would, infrastructure, not so much. So, in our team, we probably have 4 people that work on this type of,
Kind of like the core IT.
Yeah. well, that are more on developing,
Developers.
yeah, developer side.
Yeah.
So just to have a closure on that, so she is our boss on the IT and technology side, city side. So she will do some, she has to do some work and she will let you guys know.
Yeah.
how
Of course.
that works.
Yeah.
But we understand your side of it. I think Vice Chair
Yeah.
got some questions.
You mentioned the financial resiliency, so I'm just curious, what's your case study for that? And we'll be wondering how you can use AI to analyze our financial data, see where we could save money, waste more, or, yeah.
Yeah, are you talking about on the procurement side of it, or?
I don't know,
I think budget analysis, maybe?
Else?
Yeah, what was the use case you had is what you're.
Use case.
Probably didn't put in a specific example in this slide yet, but we can probably find.
So what she's talking about,
And-
we have a use case where the city can feed all of our spend and tool can recommend some of the savings, something like that, correct?
Is that what you're thinking?
I don't know.
Okay,
As we analyze city finance, like, compare with, well, how much other cities spend on certain things. And have some idea whether we see too much money on certain DBG.
That's so interesting.
Another thing I always wonder, like, for example, capital improvement project. And we would be saying, okay, this would cost this much. And then we always wonder,
Am I off? Am I paying two
Yeah.
times?
Yeah, that's always doable. I mean,
so
if
is
you.
there some kind of
So
comparison?
we have some similar use, but that's more on the procurement side, especially on the EDU side, education side. Because at the university, a lot of research, they buy their research equipment, that's for example, on their own vendors, right? So there's a central procurement process. They want to analyze what if you buy sets of things. City probably I don't exactly say, but university is very like, everybody want to do their own thing, the professor, they want to do anything. So they want to figure out, like, if they all the labs and buy the same equipment from different price, can we have the same incentive, for example, like, well, the central procurement process should like go purchase, like go talk to a vendor to get a discount instead of you all going on your own, right? So those are top of the use cases, kind of similar to what you're talking about.
Then you're looking at evaluation, like how far off you are. I don't know if we've done that, to be honest with you. I think that is more.
So the other way to look at this is, let's say, if that spend or cost, artifacts, reports are in the public domain. Right? That's it. City of Cupertino versus some other city. It's in fact easy to use Gemini to ask it to compare contracts. And if there are apples to apple comparison, you do that. Now, prediction is an interesting thing, because for prediction, you need to give historical data. And there are a few things to kind of model that out.
I think.
Now, is it doable? Would it be 100%? We don't know, right? That all depends on the data and, criteria.
I think we should close the meeting.
Yeah, we're past.
Otherwise, this will never end.
Chair, before we close the meeting, can we go to public comment?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Any public comments?
We do not have any public comment.
I want to ask,
Mayor Moore, you have any comments?
No, I thought this was very informative, and one of my sons uses the AI item from Google already, so I've been asking him questions as the meetings progress. So he already uses it at work, and he's very familiar with it. So I've got assistants to help me understand all this. Thank you.
Awesome.
Great to meet you. Mayor Moore.
So Vice Mayor Dow, any more questions?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you. We appreciate.
Yeah.
Hi.
Thank you, gentlemen, for taking the time on Friday evening.